Here's the Tom Holland Final Swing Spider-Man suit, and the figure is looking great in the packaging, having the 3 pairs of hands and also the unmasked head, unlike these 2 other Spideys, where the clamshell kind of looks bare with only 1 extra pair of hands. Andrew Spidey has the extra pair of hands over here. Look at the amount of empty space. The packaging of this figure is exactly the same as the rest of the figures in the wave, except for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, which has a different cutback. And here's the back of the packaging. It's exactly the same as the rest of the figures in the wave, except that it has a different bio, of course. I actually bought 2 of it, one to open it and one to keep it in packaging. There was like 4 pieces to choose from, and I was concentrating so much on looking at the head sculpt for the masked and unmasked head that I didn't notice the slight difference about the paintwork at the spider logo and the web lines around that area. Both the unmasked head and the masked head are okay, but the black paintwork on the web lines around the shoulder area over here is so much thicker compared to the one on this figure. And the spider logo on this figure isn't painted that great compared to this one, which is painted better. Look at this one. The web lines around the shoulder area is so much thicker compared to the rest of the body, but the spider logo is painted very well. And for the other figure, the web lines around the shoulder is the same as the rest. It isn't thicker, unlike the other figure. But look at the spider logo. This leg here isn't painted that well. Here's a side-by-side look, and you can really see the difference between the 2 figures. So that's something for you to look out for if you have a few choices to choose from. And between these 2, I think I'm going to open this one. So let's get the figure out. Here's the figure out of the packaging. The figure comes with a masked head, unmasked head, and 3 pairs of hands. A pair of fists, wall-crawling hands, and web-shooting hands. Here's the web-shooting hands and the wall-crawling hands. For the head sculpt, it is a reuse from the Peter Parker and Ned Leeds 2-pack. They are exactly the same. In terms of paintwork, I think the new one is just slightly better. Both of them looks good, and I think they are the most accurate looking Tom Holland heads that Hasbro has done so far. Because when you compare it with the very first unmasked version from this 2-pack and the unmasked head from the upgraded suit, this third one is the best. Look at the evolution of the head. Just when we thought that the upgraded suit head is quite good, this newer one is actually so much better than that. The design of the costume follows closely to his final swing suit. The web lines are kind of further apart compared to how they are in the comics. The shade of red is kind of okay, but I think the blue could have been more glossy. There is some shine to the blue paintwork, but I feel that it isn't enough compared to how it was in the movie. The web lines are sculpted and slightly elevated. It isn't just painted on. And I think the paintwork on the web lines is quite okay. It is painted quite well, except for this area like I mentioned earlier, where the black ink is kind of thicker compared to the rest of the web lines on my figure. There is sculpted texture on the red parts of the figure. On the blue part, it is just smooth. The spider logo at the back is sculpted as well. I don't know why recently sometimes Hasbro does the neck as a separate piece and not like a whole solid piece with the torso. Look at the gap over here. Like every time we were to open the head, you can see it coming apart a bit. It's like one day when we open the head, it might just break or something. Like, yeah, it is quite solid. It doesn't feel like it's going to come off. But, you know, eventually if we keep on switching the heads around, I hope it won't break or anything. This is how the neck looks like. And here's the figure with the masked head. The masked head is quite decent. So yeah, in terms of appearance, the figure is actually quite good. I guess you can kind of pass it off as a comic version if you want. But I really do hope that Hasbro will do a comic version with the sculpted web lines. For articulation, the range of movement on the head isn't that great. It can only look up and down this much. It can tilt left and right a bit. And all around, of course. For the shoulder butterfly joint, at the front, the shoulder ball can reach the torso. But at the back, like most of the recent Spidey figures, it cannot reach the torso. There, the shoulder ball is here, and the torso is here. And there is a bit of space here. And it actually makes a difference in terms of range of movement when you're doing a dynamic pose. Arms go up to the side this much. Bicep swivel, double hinge, elbow joint, pinless, The mid-torso joint allows a bit of movement to the front and back, sideways, and also rotation. And there have been people who've been saying like it might be fragile. I don't think so, because for my figure, I really feel it's quite solid and it wouldn't like break or anything. There, I've turned it like quite a number of times. Ab crunches forward this much and not much to the back. It can do this amount of split, and it has the drop down hinge joint there for better range of movement for the legs. Here's the Van Damme split. This much to the front, thigh swivel, double hinge knee joints, pinless, no calf swivel just like the other No Way Home Spideys, and the standard ankle hinge and pivot. This has become a standard articulation for most of the Spidey figures, but for the MCU Spideys, they have been missing the calf swivel, and you have to do some mods on the mid-torso joint, the shoulder butterfly joint, and also the neck in order to have more range of movements on those joints. Here's the other two Spideys from the wave, and I think the height of Tom Holland is kind of okay. In packaging, he does look kind of tall, but when you compare with Tobey, the Tobey Spidey figure is slightly taller than the Tom Holland Spidey. And of course, Andrew is the tallest between the three of them. But when you compare the height with the integrated suit, you really can see the difference in terms of height. This figure from the No Way Home 3-pack is definitely shorter than Tobey's Spidey. And here's all of them with the masked head. I actually prefer the height of this figure compared to the new one, because in the movie, Tom Holland is really kind of slightly smaller and shorter than Tobey and Andrew. So yeah, the final swimsuit is a decent figure. It's really great that we got the 3 pairs of hands and the unmasked head for this one. The sculpted web line and texture on the figure is great, but I guess the only thing is that if you're able to choose from a few pieces, then you can nitpick on the paintwork and get the nicer one, because as you can see on mine, one has the thick web lines around the shoulder area and the other doesn't have the paintwork done nicely on the spider logo at the front. The blue paintwork could have been more shiny also, but I guess it is still quite okay. There is a bit of shine to it. Overall, a decent figure, and the Tom Holland head is of course excellent. You definitely need to get this to complete all the MCU Spidey costumes. Thanks for watching. Check out this video over here where I compare all of the Marvel Legends MCU Spidey figures.